my name is Nicole Kelly, and my persuasive research essay speech is on the Marine Protection, Research, and Sanctuaries Act. So ever since I was a little girl, my grandpa taught me how to save the turtles, essentially. So what he would do is he would show me the plastic rings that would hold cans of pop together. So what we would do is you would cut the ring, every 6 rings, you would cut them in half. So it would be like one long string. So in case this ever ended up in the ocean, it would never harm the sea turtles and get stuck around their neck. And sea turtles are my favorite animals, so of course I'm going to do it to help them. So even now, to this day, if I ever come across buying a product that includes those little plastic rings, I cut the rings in half and I throw them in my recycle bin, because there's a stronger chance it won't get in the ocean than if it were to be thrown in my trash can, which goes to the landfill, and who knows where that goes. We have all thrown trash on the floor, essentially littered, in our lives, and no one can say they haven't, because everyone has at some point. We've also bought plastic straws and plastic cups, which are a lot cheaper, so of course we lean towards them, but they're a lot worse for the environment. They get thrown places, they don't decompose, they don't break down, they just stay there, and they affect the whole ecosystem of everything. As someone who loves marine life and who did want to become a marine biologist, I want to keep our oceans clean, and I try my very best to never throw stuff along the beach whenever we go, because it can get in the water and it can affect the marine life and that ecosystem that lives down there, essentially bringing it down. I've done extensive research on the ways the ocean can stay clean and having the removal of waste. I discovered the United States have enforced the removal of harmful waste from all our oceans. Should the Marine Protection, Research, Sanctuaries Act be amended, repealed, or supported? I fully support it because it helps keep our oceans clean and helps keep the marine life and ecosystems balanced. This will easily be seen through the rules of the Act, the problems with the Act, the solutions with the Act, the practicality of the solutions with the Act, and what action has been done in order to respect the Act. So the Marine Protection, Research, and Sanctuaries Act was originally signed by Richard Nixon in 1972 in order to keep our oceans clean of all the harmful waste that humans produced. This act has been added to multiple times throughout the years in order to maintain its importance and allowing the people to know, this is serious. What was added was the Water Quality Act, the National Coast Monitoring Act, and the Ocean Dumping Ban Act. The first rule of the act is its prohibition of all dumping in the ocean unless you have a permit. Those with permit, the second rule is if you have a permit, you can only dump certain products in there. So stuff like radioactive waste, industrial waste, medical waste, etc. cannot be dumped in the ocean because it cannot be cleaned as much and cycle through the water as easily. The third rule is the permits of ocean dumping can only be conducted through the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA for short. The fourth rule is there are designated sites for all ocean dumping, and the last rule is that you can only ocean dump 12 nautical miles off the shoreline. The problems with these rules is that first, the water is still getting polluted. Stuff is still getting put in the ocean. It may not be the harmful radioactive things, but objects are just getting thrown in the ocean, and we see it all the time when we go to a beach. The second problem is dumping sites are way too close to shore. So 12 nautical miles is called the territorial sea, and it's right when the sand starts to decline in the body of water. So they're where the seaweed, kelp, all like the tiny bacteriums of the ocean live. So it's not harmful to the marine life, but it's a little bit more harmful to humans because it is so close to the shoreline. The third problem is it doesn't specify how they can keep track of how the permits, like who's dumping what in the ocean, and how are they only limiting people with permits when essentially anyone can really dump stuff in the ocean as long as they don't get caught. The solutions to these problems are the permits go through an extensive process in order to be handed out, basically. They have to go through a hearing, they have to go through court, and they have to be approved. Their company or their background has to be approved by the Environmental Protection Agency. The second solution is, even though 12 nautical miles is a little closer to humans, plastic and stuff like that won't essentially affect them as much as it'll affect the marine life, which is past the territorial sea, where the dolphins, the animals, whales, sharks, turtles, all the bigger predators, and all like the small like sea urchin, starfish, like coral reefs are all past that. So therefore it's not as harmful to the marine life, so it stands with the act. The third solution is the designated sites. So you can't just dump wherever in the ocean. You have to go to designated sites with your permit away from the shoreline in order to dump whatever waste you're putting into the ocean. Are the solutions to MPRSA practical? Yes, because they first introduced the Water Quality Act, which would help maintain the balance of all ocean water and would help keep the filtration and processes clean and help keep everything in the bigger scale of the ocean and lakes and rivers and all that stuff alive. Keep the ecosystem clean and alive. The second thing is the National Coast Guard Monitoring Act, which gives all states along in the U.S. with coastlines butting against the oceans, it gives them a right to, those are my words, it gives them a right to watch what's all dumping and ban certain things from being dumped, and also ban certain permits from being dumped. So it gives the states a little bit more of a backbone in what is happening along their shores, essentially. The Ocean Dumping Ban Act was amended to regulate what is being dumped in the ocean. So it stops from the dumping of radioactive waste, medical waste, industrial waste, anything that can be harmful to humans and marine life, it gets rid of. And later renegotiating, before everything happened, it was renegotiated multiple times in order to add all those different wastes that should be discarded from the ocean. Now that we have looked at the practicality of the MPRSA policy, let us turn our attention to how we can take action to protect our oceans. How can students with no government background and no title yet keep our oceans clean? We are the generation to change the world, essentially. We have so much power that we don't know we can use yet. So the first thing we can do to keep our oceans clean is to pick up trash, don't litter, and don't throw stuff on the ground. Go to a garbage can or recycling bin and throw it in there. They're all over the place. We know. We see them everywhere. They're just an extra walk. And most of the time we're lazy and we don't make the extra walk. So that's the first thing we do. The second thing we could do is we can vote out anyone. Since most of us are 18, we have the right to vote. So we can vote anyone out of our jurisdictions that aren't keeping the environment and the ecosystem safe for us. We have that power, which is very nice. In conclusion, now that I have informed you on the rules of ocean dumping, the problems with the act, the realistic solutions, the practicality of the solutions, and the action that is being shown to respect the MPRSA throughout all these years, I hope everyone will stop and think before throwing stuff into the ocean and along the shores. We live in a very crucial time where our ecosystem is dying and we need to protect it. The ocean offers us so many opportunities and so many things for us to study, for us to live through, and for us to experience. As E.E. Cummings once said, "For whatever we lose, like you or me, it is ourself that we find within the seas." Thank you.